how to actually manifest money and change your reality. Now, you've probably tried dozens of methods for manifestation, whether that means visualization, scripting, or affirmations, but for some reason, no matter how much you persist and stay in the wish fulfilled, your reality just has not changed. You're still struggling to make more money and still finding it impossible to get past that ceiling that you've been stuck at for months or maybe even years now. So, why is it that you're doing everything right, but all these things that are working for everybody else just don't seem to be working for you? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that is and how you can finally fix it and make more money than you've ever made using nothing but the power of your mind. And I'm about to tell you things I promise you've never heard of anywhere else and will completely change your perspective, not just of money, but of the human mind and how it can make you more money. So here's why you should even listen to me. I made multiple six figures online at 18 years old. I've got a YouTube channel with over 2 million subscribers. I've spent 10,000 plus hours studying money and psychology, which makes me an expert on all of this. And I've been coached directly by some of the biggest entrepreneurs on the planet, including Nero Knowledge, William Brown, and Charlie Morgan. So here's why your manifestation techniques don't work. Think of your mind like it's a garden. And in this garden, there's all different kinds of plants and flowers, but you just don't like the way that they look. So to fix them, you repaint them. You trim them in different ways, and you do everything you can to make your garden look exactly how you want. But no matter how much time you spend tending to it, eventually the original plants that you didn't like grow back, and your garden is back as that hideous, repulsive expanse that you're just tired of looking at every day. This is because you're only changing the surface level appearance, but you're avoiding the most important part, the seeds that are growing these plants in the first place. This is exactly what happens when people try manifestation techniques. They visualize their desired outcome, they affirm it in the mirror, and embody the feelings of having already achieved it. But despite all this tedious effort, even if there's a couple of results here and there, your life always reverts back to its factory default, one of struggle and force and dissatisfaction, so that you're back wondering what else you have to do to manifest your desired reality. The only way to fix the garden is to plant completely new flowers, because obviously if you keep the same flowers planted, then the same flowers are going to keep on growing back. The same thing goes for your mind. You can keep changing the surface level emotions you feel and consciously manage your thoughts day to day, but not only is this exhausting, it just doesn't last. This is because the seeds that lie underneath your emotions and your beliefs that are driving your everyday behavior are staying exactly the same. And even though you might not like it, in order to protect itself, your mind will continue producing the life that you're used to until you change your subconscious mind. Here's why the subconscious is so important. Your subconscious mind is a million times more powerful than your conscious mind. This is where all your beliefs, emotions, and habits are stored. And your mind uses these things to help you navigate the world automatically. And if it didn't, you'd be overwhelmed by the millions of different stimuli that are coming your way at every second. Take driving as an example. When you take your road test, you have to think about turning on the car, hitting the brake, turning the steering wheel. But after a while, you stop thinking about it because your body just knows what to do automatically. This is what your mind does for every single part of your life, the way you behave in your relationships, in your business, even at the gym. It's all based on subconscious programs that have automatically been running your life for years. And this is why trying to think different or take new action never actually changes everything. Because by the time you've made the decision to think a new way or take a new action, it's too late. Your subconscious mind has already reacted for you. A great example of this is talking to a girl. Guys would go on the internet and look up all sorts of clever pickup lines and go use them on a girl in a bar or something, only to be rejected by them immediately. But why is it that other guys can say the exact same line and end up getting her number? It's because it's never about the pickup line. It's about who the guy is at a subconscious level. Even if he finds a line that somehow demonstrates attractiveness and confidence, if a guy is terrified of the girl rejecting him, She's already made her decision before he opens his mouth, between his body language, his facial expressions, and even just his tone of voice. She didn't actually need to hear what he said. She can already tell that he's not internally aligned with the confidence that he's trying to manufacture. But a different guy could literally go and say something like, hi, to the exact same girl, and she'd actually want to talk to him just because he's radiating with that underlying self-assuredness, but that only comes from his subconscious mind. He doesn't choose to have that energy. It's just who he naturally is as a person. And this doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the first guy. It just means that his subconscious mind has not accepted the idea of approaching girls the way the other guy's mind has. But what if you have worked with your subconscious mind? I mean, if you've made it this far, you've probably tried some of the techniques that are specifically designed to work with your subconscious mind. You know, you've already felt the feelings, you've changed your beliefs about money, and you understand the law of attraction. Yet, here I am telling you that your subconscious mind is still the problem. How could that be possible? Well, if you believe the law of attraction and the idea that your subconscious mind creates your reality, then you understand this. The only truths in reality are what the subconscious mind accepts as true. You know that your world is created by whatever beliefs you have stored in your subconscious mind. So, if you've supposedly already fixed your subconscious beliefs and your feelings about money, why are you still not attracting the amount of money you want? And don't say you are, because if you were, you wouldn't be here. Here's what's really holding you back. If you want to change your reality, you need to stop trying to change your reality. And I know that makes no sense, but the point is that most manifestation techniques have one goal in mind: to change your reality. And all your manifestations revolve around what you want your life to look like. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? Why else would you try to manifest anything? But the problem is that while you're so busy trying to change the future, your brain is still stuck in the past. I mean, where else do you think all these subconscious emotions that you have are coming from? When a baby is born, does he have any beliefs about money? No. He doesn't even know what money is. And if you handed him $1 million check, he'd have no reservations against using it as a diaper. You know, just think about it for a second. A newborn baby is more comfortable about his money than most grown adults are. And I know that you might be thinking, oh, but a baby doesn't understand the concept of bills and mortgages and raising a family, so of course he's not going to get upset. Yeah, but once you understand this, you'll understand why that doesn't matter. It's all about where these negative associations come from in the first place. If you've ever seen The Truman Show, it gets this point across perfectly. To sum it up, Truman's life is televised for the entire world to see. Ever since the day he was born, he's had cameras broadcasting every single aspect of his life. But they had to make sure that Truman never was able to leave. Whether this meant going to another country or on a road trip, they had to terrify Truman from the idea of leaving this place. So they surrounded the entire town with water, and they manufactured a traumatic experience in his childhood with water. Basically, they sent him on a boat trip with his fake dad into the artificial lake they created, and then they programmed the weather to emulate a vicious storm, and they faked his dad's death. Because Truman believed he watched his father die in a storm at sea, that was it. He would never attempt to cross the water again, and he would never leave this town. It doesn't matter that the town is fake or that his dad didn't actually die. All that matters is that he believed it happened. And 20 years later, this one core memory is still keeping him from leaving. The same goes for you. Your childhood is impacting all of your beliefs, all of your emotions, and all of your decisions, whether you realize it or not. To put it plainly, you did not have any negative beliefs when you were born. Somewhere along the way, you inherited these beliefs, and now we need to remove them. How your childhood is shaping your present reality, especially if you think it isn't. If you've truly spent time working with your subconscious mind, whether that means hypnotherapy or Neville Goddard or Psych K or whatever it was for you, and you still can't attract the money you want into your life, there's something a lot deeper going on here. The truth is, it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with your self-concept. Let's take 10-year-old Johnny. And he lives with his mom and dad. And on the surface, they live a pretty happy life. They go on vacations together, they eat dinner every night, and his parents are happy to buy him all his favorite toys. John's parents love him very much, and all they want is to give him a perfect childhood. But one day, Johnny comes home, and he doesn't really feel like doing his homework. He had a long day at school, and all he wants to do is relax. His parents, on the other hand, insist that he always has his schoolwork done before he does anything else. And the second he comes home, he has to do it. So when his dad catches him watching TV, he tells him he has to go do his homework. Johnny says he'll do it later and asks his dad if he can just chill for a little bit. But his dad says no. He used to do all of his work right now. But Johnny doesn't want to. So this turns into a fight, which eventually ends with Johnny doing his homework. This experience, which probably happens more than once, ingrains one thing into Johnny's head. I have to be forced to work hard. Even though this particular scenario is only related to school, the subconscious mind doesn't understand that. The subconscious doesn't categorize life into domains like school or work or money. It categorizes life by emotional states and survival signals. To the subconscious, the situation wasn't, this is about homework. It was, pressure is what gets me to act. The event itself is not what matters. It's only the patterns of emotion that Johnny experiences. So first, there's resistance doing his homework, and then there's avoidance from what his dad says, and then there's external pressure of his dad forcing him to do his homework, and finally, him getting the relief or the action of finally going to do his homework. When you're a kid, your brain is in a lower brainwave state called theta, which means you're like a sponge because your subconscious mind is wide open and anything you experience will be drilled into your mind forever. Combine this with the fact that your parents are the people who teach you the way the world works and the ones you look up to the most. Everything that your parents say will be registered by your subconscious mind as true. When we experience things, we feel an emotion, and this might be sadness, it might be anger, excitement, or stress. Whatever the emotion is, we don't feel it in our brain, we feel it in our whole bodies. Stress might be a pounding in your chest, or excitement might feel like butterflies in your stomach. Your body holds these feelings in your emotional memory. Even if you don't consciously remember something, your body does. So, years later, Johnny can't start a creative project unless a deadline's pressuring him, and he waits for consequences or fear to force him to act, and calm, self-directed effort feels unnatural to him. And it's not because he's lazy or lacks discipline, it's because his nervous system learned that pressure equals safety and motion. And since the subconscious doesn't know how to reason or negotiate, it doesn't say, oh, this is different. I'm an adult running a business now. None of this is conscious. Obviously, he isn't choosing to feel this way, but it doesn't matter. This is the program that's ingrained into his mind, and until he can change that, whether he likes it or not, it's going to continue running the show. This is why affirming to himself, I am disciplined over and over, wouldn't make a difference. His conscious mind cannot overrule a program that's been ingrained by his subconscious mind for years on end. Your subconscious does not know the difference between reality and imagination. Even though this can be an event that happened 25 years ago, if you're feeling those emotions, as far as your body is concerned, it's happening right now. So to protect you, the same emotions that surfaced in that original moment are surfacing right now because that's what you learned. The point of all this is that when a belief is formed, even if it's in a narrow context, it becomes this part of your global operating system that's going to somehow affect every situation that you're ever in your life, because your subconscious generalizes by feelings, not by fact. So unless that emotional association is changed, you will continue to unconsciously recreate that pattern in every area of your life, because it's never about the money. It's about you. Obviously, you know that making money is safe. You'd know that if you made the money you wanted to make, your life would improve. You'd be able to buy the house that you wanted, travel the world, or whatever it is you want to do with money. But guess what? Your subconscious mind does not care about those things. All it cares about is keeping you alive and keeping you safe. If you haven't been able to produce the results you want, it's because somewhere deep down, your brain does not feel safe doing so. If it did, you'd have it. It's plain and simple. If your brain felt safe getting what you want, and you've been putting years and months of effort into it, and you still haven't been able to do it, it's because your brain doesn't see it as safe. Plain and simple. And when your brain senses you moving towards something that feels unsafe, it sends you into this fight or flight mode where you literally cannot think straight. Creativity, intelligence, and intuition, all these things go out the window because your brain is screaming at you that you need to go back to safety. If there's an underlying belief that your desired reality is unsafe, you cannot fight this mechanism. Every time you work towards such a goal, your brain is going to literally make you feel like you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. And here's the tricky part of this. You might be thinking, but stress doesn't make it hard for me to work. I have no problem taking action and doing the things that I need to do. And sure, it might seem that way. But again, if that's the case, why haven't you achieved the results you want? It's because your subconscious is still limiting you to what you're comfortable with. If your subconscious mind is comfortable with $5,000 a month, yeah, you'll be able to access just enough of your creativity to produce $5,000 a month. But as soon as you take an action trying to get to $10,000 a month, your brain's going to fight you. Even if you start doing new tactics and trying new strategies, your subconscious mind is going to hold you back without you even realizing it. And it's just going to keep creating problems for you to keep you from this bigger goal you have. You know, you hear stories about Mega Million lottery winners going broke. This is why. Even though they made all that money, their brain is not comfortable with it. It's not stupidity or how inept they are with money. It's just that their subconscious minds are not capable of handling that amount of money. It's that simple. So it's going to find a way to push them to take actions that cause them to lose that money and return to the level they were at before winning the lottery. Broke. There's only two ways to make this stop. You can either stop working towards your goal, or you can fix the underlying beliefs from your past. But if all this is really because of your childhood, are you screwed? Well, here's the good news. No, you're not screwed. The thing that people don't understand about memories is that they're not in the past. They're happening right now. All right. Think of your mind like this time. Think of your mind like it's a balloon. All right. Every time you have a negative emotional experience, you fill the balloon up with air. And over the years, you just keep filling the balloon up, and it's getting bigger and bigger until it's filled to the very brim. But one day, someone puts just a little pump of air inside, and the balloon pops from that one little gust of wind, because it was already on the brink of explosion from all the years that it built up all this other air, all these other negative experiences. When you have so many negative memories stored in your brain, you are constantly that balloon that's ready to pop. Literally anything that triggers the emotional charge behind them will result in an emotional reaction from you. If you have a negative emotional experience as a kid and you don't process it, it doesn't just disappear. It gets stored inside your body, waiting to come out every single time that someone does something that resembles that situation. So every time you snap at someone or overreact to something, it's just that little kid in you that's been locked inside of you for years, trapped in that emotion. All you have to do is deflate the balloon. That way your brain can move on from the emotion, no longer trapping you in this reactional box that's been driving your behavior for years on end. When you react to something, you're not actually reacting to the thing that just happened. You're reacting to whatever childhood memory your body is being reminded of. So how is this good news? Because whenever these triggers happen, your brain is taking you into this past event and giving you an opportunity to process it. And this time, now that you're an adult, you can actually do that. By reliving the event and choosing to change the emotional outcome, the original memory loses its grip on you. The trigger disappears because the threat isn't real anymore. Because you removed the trigger right at the source, all the behaviors it used to drive in you are completely eliminated. So, how do you change your childhood memories? There's no way to identify which specific memories are impacting you today. So the best way to approach this is just go through all the things you remember from birth to like 12 years old and just get them all down on a list. And this includes things that you don't specifically recall. Like if your mom told you about something that happened to you as a kid, but you don't actually remember it, it still counts because since it happened, it is still affecting your life somehow. So once you have this list, put them in order and just keep the ones that seem like they might have even the smallest negative impact on you in terms of the beliefs that they created. Some are going to be more obvious, like being abused or somebody bullying you, but others you'll have to think about a little bit. There may be events that seem positive and normal to you, but they really aren't. Let's say a kid gets bullied in school, but since he can't stand up for himself, his parents come in and have a talk with the bully for him. Although these parents are doing the right thing, it could teach the kid that he's not capable of advocating for himself. So in the future, maybe he avoids negotiations or feels uncomfortable charging higher prices for his services. The point is, these negative implicit beliefs are usually hiding, yet they're actually right in front of us in our childhood memories. But here's a disclaimer. Whatever the memories are for you, don't blame the people involved. Even if they're still involved in your life, they didn't do anything to deliberately hurt you. And honestly, even if they did, it's only because they're carrying their own negative emotions from their childhood. But here's where the change begins. Choose one of these memories, ideally an earlier one that you think had a strong impact on you. First, think about the memory and notice how it makes you feel and what sort of thoughts or emotions come up. But only sit in this for a couple of seconds. You don't want to re-traumatize yourself. Then immediately think of something or someone you love. And ideally, it's someone you don't have any emotional expectations from. So depending on your relationships, it honestly might be better to think of a pet or a place or even just your favorite color. Sit in this for as long as you want. Allow the feelings of this thing that you love to just spread throughout your entire body until that you actually notice that you feel a little bit better. Then go back to the negative memory and just dip your toes in for a couple seconds again. And just notice how it feels. Does it still feel negative or is it a little bit better now? And once you do that, go right back to the positive image and once again, sit in that for a little bit. Keep going back and forth until the original memory has no negative charge. Once you're at that point and it's just completely neutral, reimagine the scene as you would have liked it to play out. A very common one is being yelled at by your parents. If you have a memory of them yelling at you, instead, imagine them hugging you and telling you how much they love you. Or just extrapolate this to flip whichever negative memories you come up with on their head. It's just, if you have a negative memory, think of what could happen in that event that would be really positive and make you feel really good. Like if you were bullied in school, then instead, you're just really popular in school. Replay this new memory over and over again every single day until you feel like the old memory isn't even there anymore. And do this process for every memory that you can. You're literally going to start to feel like you had a completely different childhood. It's kind of crazy. But here's an extra tip. It might be difficult for you to reimagine whatever person that you're imagining in a positive way. Whether it's a parent or a relative or a friend, you might hold a lot of anger towards them. Until you release this anger, it's going to be very different to reimagine them. So to let the anger out, set 1 or 2 hours aside and write a letter saying everything that you've ever wanted to say to them and really let them have it in this letter because they're never going to see it. So just curse at them, insult them. You can even threaten them if you want. The point is just to release the anger that you have. It's not about absolving them of anything that they've done. It's just to stop them from living rent-free in your head. And afterwards, just rip it up or burn it, whatever you want to do. The whole point is they're not going to see it, so you can literally say whatever you want without feeling guilty. But with all of this, if you want to work with me one-on-one, click the link down below. I will help you identify and remove whatever is blocking you personally from making more money in your business. Whether that means figuring out which emotion you want or creating a visualization scene, you will inevitably start making more money when you pinpoint your subconscious blocks, which is exactly what I'll help you do.